If you're pouring your heart into your podcast, but still struggling to turn those listeners into paying clients, I've got something just for you. Imagine having a clear, simple plan to turn your listeners into buyers without relying on a huge audience or spending hours on social media. That's exactly what we'll create together in a podcast profit plan discovery call. During this free 20-minute call, I'll help you discover more opportunities for profit in your podcast and give you the next best step to turn your show into a client attracting machine. If I've got an offer that will help you expedite this process, then we can also discuss working together. Book your free podcast profit plan discovery call now by going to podcastingformoms.co/profit plan or by clicking the link in the show notes. I can't wait to chat with you. Raise your hand if you've ever felt like social media is a full-time job that you didn't sign up for. Yeah, me too. But what if I told you that your podcast could do all the lead generation for your business without you having to post a single reel or hashtag ever again? In today's episode, I'm pulling back the curtain on how to make your podcast your number one client attraction machine, even if you ghost Instagram for weeks. Let's get into it. Welcome to Podcasting for Moms, the show for moms in business ready to start, grow, and scale a podcast that turns their listeners into buyers. I'm Jenny Soneson, a podcast strategist and fellow mom entrepreneur. You're in the right place if you want to learn how to start and grow a podcast that attracts your ideal clients and really does the heavy lifting for you when it comes to selling your offers, all while balancing life as a busy mom. Are you ready to create a podcast that grows your income, impact, and influence? Let's make podcasting work for you because as moms, we know how to get things done. All right, let's jump into the episode. Hey there, welcome back to Podcasting for Moms, where we dive into all things podcasting to help you grow your business without burning yourself out. If you've been feeling overwhelmed by social media, constantly posting, trying to keep up with trends, and still struggling to generate leads, today's episode is for you. Because guess what? Your podcast can be your most powerful lead generation tool without relying on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. In this episode, I'm sharing exactly how to turn your podcast into a client attracting machine that works for you long after an episode goes live. So whether you're brand new to podcasting or looking to refine your strategy, get ready to take some notes because this is going to be a game changer. Let's jump into the episode. All right, so let's start with why podcasting is such a powerful lead generation tool. Unlike social media posts that disappear in a matter of hours, podcast episodes have staying power. When someone finds your show and listens to an episode, whether it's the day that it airs or 6 months later, they're getting direct access to you, your expertise, and your insights. And here's the magic. Podcast listeners are naturally more engaged than people scrolling on social media. They're hearing your voice, your personality, and your stories, which creates an instant know, like, and trust factor. Think about it. How often do you stop and read a long Instagram caption? Probably not as often as you'd like. But with a podcast, listeners will tune in while they're driving, folding laundry, or out for a walk. They're giving you their undivided attention for 10, 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes. Now compare that to the life of a social media post. Instagram stories, gone in 24 hours. A Facebook post, buried in the feed within a day. Even Reels and TikToks have a pretty short shelf life. But a podcast episode, it's evergreen. It continues working for you months, even years after you hit publish. So if you've been wondering whether you really need to be on social media to grow your business, I'm here to tell you, no, you do not. Your podcast can do the heavy lifting for you. Now let's get into how to make that happen. All right, so let's talk about how to set up your podcast so that it consistently generates leads for you. So here are 5 powerful strategies to turn your podcast into your number one client attraction tool. Number 1, optimize your call to actions or CTAs. The biggest mistakes that podcasters make is not telling their listeners what to do next. Every single episode should have a clear, compelling call to action or CTA. This is the step you want listeners to take after they tune in. So here are some examples of great calls to action. Want my free podcast growth blueprint? Grab it now at yourwebsite.com/blueprint. Looking for personalized podcast coaching? Book a free 15-minute strategy call at your link here. Join my membership for podcast support and strategy at your website here. So you can place your calls to action in 3 key spots. So you can put in the intro. Even if someone doesn't listen to your full episode, they are still going to hear it. You can put it in the middle for reinforcement, or you can put in the outro to wrap things up with a strong action step. The key here is to keep it simple. Don't overwhelm your audience with Way too many options. Focus on one main call to action per episode. Number 2, leverage your show notes and website. Most podcasters underestimate the power of their show notes, but these notes are prime real estate for lead generation. Make sure your show notes include a short summary of the episode, have clear links to your freebies, offers, or services, and use SEO-friendly keywords so that your episodes show up in the podcast players. Also, if you have a website, you can create a dedicated podcast page where each episode has its own blog-style post with an embed player and a call to action. This helps with both SEO and lead generation. Number 3, create podcast-specific lead magnets. One of the best ways to capture leads for your podcast is by offering a freebie or lead magnet related to your episode topic. Some examples could include a private audio series, a checklist or templates, a quiz that segments your listeners into different business stages, or even like a workshop or webinar. When you create a lead magnet that aligns with your podcast, your audience is much more likely to sign up. And there is a high chance that you probably already have something like this that you can use, and you don't have to create it specific to the podcast. It's just already aligned because your podcast topic is aligned with what you've created your freebies and stuff on in the past. Number 4, utilize guest podcasting and collaborations. Being a guest on other podcasts is such a powerful way to attract new listeners and potential clients. When you guest on someone else's show, their audience gets to know you, and many of them will check out your podcast. A great way to maximize this is by offering a freebie just for that audience and mentioning it in the episode. And don't forget, when you have guests on your show, encourage them to share the episode with their audience to expand your reach even further. And lastly, number 5, repurpose podcast content for SEO and email marketing. A single podcast episode can be repurposed in multiple ways to drive more traffic and leads to your business. Here's how. So you can turn episodes into blog posts to improve SEO. You can pull key insights and share them in your email newsletter. You can create Pinterest graphics linking back to the full episode. So you're optimizing your stuff for SEO and visual SEO. So Pinterest. And then you can create Pinterest graphics linking back to the full episode. Although Pinterest is technically classified as a social media platform, I think of it more as a visual search engine. So it's another great way to get more people into your world without relying on social media. By repurposing your content, you create multiple touch points for potential leads to find and engage with you. So once you've set up these strategies, how do you know if they're actually working? So here are 3 ways to track and improve your lead generation. So first, you want to use trackable links. You can set up UTM links or custom short links like Bitly or pretty links to track which episodes drive the most leads. Then you can ask new leads how they found you. Add a simple question to your intake forms, like, how did you hear about me? Then you can monitor your podcast analytics. So look for patterns. What topics or episodes are bringing in the most listeners and engagement? The key is to keep testing and refining your strategy to see what works best for your audience. All right, let's recap the key takeaways from today's episode. Number 1, podcasting is a powerful lead generation tool because it builds trust and has a longer lifespan than social media content. Number 2, a clear call to action in every single episode is essential for driving leads. Number 3, show notes, freebies, and guest podcasting can supercharge your podcast's ability to bring in new clients. Number 4, tracking and optimizing your strategy helps maximize results over time. Your action step is to choose one strategy from today's episode and implement it this week. If you found this episode helpful, I'd love for you to leave a rating and review or share this episode with a fellow mom podcaster who needs it. Until next time, happy podcasting, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning into Podcasting for Moms. I hope today's episode gave you the tools and inspiration you need to make your podcast work smarter, not harder. If you love what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It means the world and helps other moms in business find the show. For more tips, resources, and support, head to podcastingformoms.co. Remember, you're not just building a podcast, you're building your legacy. Until next time, friends.